The night Daniel Carter almost lost everything began with rain slamming against the city like it had a grudge, the kind of rain that soaked straight through hope and into the bones. He was running late, his hands shaking as he checked his phone for the third time, unaware that one small decision would quietly rearrange the rest of his life, and that the woman he was about to save had already given her heart to him long before either of them realized it. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment right now and like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that change lives. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. Daniel was a single father who lived his life on borrowed minutes. Every morning began before sunrise, packing lunches with tired hands, tying small shoes with frayed patience, and promising his 8-year-old daughter Lily that tonight would be better, calmer, easier. He worked as a senior systems analyst at a corporate firm in downtown Chicago, a job that paid just enough to keep the lights on and Lily's school fees covered, but not enough to buy peace of mind. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving Daniel with grief he never learned how to set down and a child who looked at him like he was the only safe place left in the world. He carried that responsibility like a silent oath, even when exhaustion carved dark shadows beneath his eyes. His boss, Eleanor Wright, was a woman people described with words like intimidating, brilliant, and untouchable. As the company's CEO, she walked through glass-walled conference rooms like she owned the air itself, always composed, always in control. What no one noticed was how her eyes softened whenever Daniel spoke, how she lingered when he explained a problem, or how she remembered small details about Lily that no executive assistant had ever mentioned. Eleanor had risen to the top alone, cutting through a world that rarely forgave softness, and somewhere along the way, she fell in love with a man who never once tried to impress her. Daniel, completely unaware of this quiet devotion, saw Eleanor as a force of nature and nothing more. He respected her deeply, feared disappointing her, and believed the invisible line between employee and employer was as solid as stone. He had no idea that she admired his integrity, his gentleness, the way he never complained about staying late yet always left exactly on time for Lily. To Eleanor, that balance of strength and tenderness felt rare and achingly familiar. The night everything shifted, Eleanor had agreed to a date she didn't want. Friends insisted she needed to move on, to stop hiding behind work, to give someone else a chance. The man she met that evening was polished and charming in public, the kind who smiled too easily and listened too little. What started as mild discomfort turned into unease when he ignored her boundaries, drank too much, and treated her success like a challenge rather than a fact. Eleanor found herself trapped at a high-end restaurant, surrounded by laughter that felt hollow, wondering how someone so powerful could feel so small. At the same time, Daniel was finishing up late at the office after a system crash threatened a major client account. His phone buzzed with a message from Eleanor asking if he was still nearby and if he could help with something urgent. He hesitated, thinking of Lily asleep at home with the neighbor watching over her, but something in the message felt off. He grabbed his jacket and stepped back into the rain, unaware that he was walking into a moment that would test every instinct he had. When Daniel arrived at the restaurant, he immediately sensed tension. Eleanor looked different, not the confident executive the office knew, but a woman tightly holding herself together. Daniel didn't ask questions or demand explanations. He simply stepped in with calm authority, redirecting the situation with quiet firmness, creating an exit where Eleanor saw none. There were no dramatic gestures, no raised voices, just the steady presence of a man who knew how to protect without controlling, who knew when to speak and when to simply stand beside someone. Outside, the rain had slowed to a mist, and Eleanor felt something break open inside her chest. The relief was overwhelming, but beneath it was something deeper, more terrifying. Gratitude turned into vulnerability, and vulnerability into the realization that the man holding an umbrella over her was the one she trusted most in the world. Daniel, soaked and shivering, only worried whether she was safe and if she needed anything else. He had no idea that in saving her from a bad date, he had unknowingly stepped into her heart. Life didn't transform overnight. Daniel returned to his routine, juggling deadlines and parent-teacher meetings, bedtime stories and unpaid bills. But something between them shifted, subtle yet undeniable. Eleanor found reasons to check in on him, to ask about Lily, to adjust schedules so he could leave earlier. She watched him more closely now, seeing not just competence but quiet sacrifice. Daniel, in turn, noticed a softness in Eleanor that surprised him, moments where her guard dropped and something warm flickered in her eyes. The real challenge came when rumors began to circulate at work. People noticed the attention, the trust Eleanor placed in Daniel, and whispers grew sharp. Daniel felt the pressure intensely, terrified that his position, the one lifeline he had for his daughter, could be jeopardized. He pulled back emotionally, convincing himself that distance was safer, that some lines should never be crossed. Eleanor felt the withdrawal like a slow ache, unsure whether she had imagined the connection or if fear was building walls between them. Then Lily fell ill. It wasn't life-threatening, but it required time, care, and money Daniel didn't have. Hospital rooms brought back memories he had tried to bury, and exhaustion pushed him to the edge. When Eleanor found out, she didn't hesitate. She offered support without pity, flexibility without strings, and kindness without expectation. Watching her sit beside Lily's bed, reading softly and brushing hair away from her forehead, Daniel felt something inside him finally give way. In that fragile space between fear and hope, Daniel began to understand. Eleanor wasn't just his boss. She was someone who saw him, who respected his struggles, who had chosen him not because he was convenient, but because he was real. And Eleanor, watching Daniel care for his daughter with unwavering devotion, realized that love didn't have to be loud or dramatic to be life-changing. As weeks passed, trust replaced fear. They learned each other slowly, carefully, building something that felt steady and honest. The power imbalance faded, replaced by mutual respect and shared vulnerability. Daniel discovered that love could feel safe again, that opening his heart didn't mean betraying the past. Eleanor learned that strength could coexist with tenderness, that she didn't have to carry the world alone. Just before the ending, please comment below and tell us what part of this story stayed with you the most, because your words help keep stories like this alive. Near the end, as Daniel stood watching Lily laugh freely again and Eleanor smiled at them both with quiet certainty, he realized that saving someone doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like showing up in the rain, offering steady hands, and choosing kindness when it's inconvenient. And sometimes, the person you save has already saved you in ways you never noticed. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, and share this video so it can reach someone who needs hope tonight. Your engagement truly helps more than you know. The rain eventually stopped, but the night it fell remained etched in their lives forever, a reminder that love often begins not with grand declarations, but with one human being stepping forward when another feels alone.